All right, guys, we are kicking this off. We are brand new into the month of July. Summer is cruising right along, and let's get podcasting. There exists a threat, from anti-hunting groups to politicians trying to give our land away, and we won't stand for it. Those vast western landscapes provide the space for our wildlife to thrive, and a place for hunters and anglers to fuel the fire that sparks their soul. In this show, we share our love of hunting, fishing, and conservation. Here, we provide the foundation to meet these threats through passion and the grit of the American outdoorsman. Welcome to the Western Huntsman Podcast. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to this episode of the Western Huntsman Podcast. This is Jim Huntsman, your humble host, coming at you from the Broken Tine Studio right here in Clark Fork, Idaho. Thank you guys for tuning in. I appreciate you joining us. Got a cool episode lined up for you today. We've been trying to kind of connect for a while and get this thing lined up. So we finally got it done, and I'm going to introduce him. We are just a couple quick announcements. We've still got our Dashboard Hunting Mentor series. Gosh, that thing is a tongue twister, man. I really gotta focus when I say it. The Dashboard Hunting Mentor series is, we just released episode 2 last week of that. So if you've got any youth hunters or new hunters, adult onset hunters, people that just are gearing up maybe for their first hunt or thinking about getting into hunting, that series is for them, and I promise it is clean language. So the kiddos can listen. Watch my mouth for a change, and it's all about just really good information, basically and essentially anything that folks don't learn in hunter's education. The stuff that you need to know is going to be in those series, and so we'll be doing another one of those episodes here in the month of July, as well as the much sought after and wildly popular School of September series. Can't believe how well those things do, guys. I appreciate everybody that tunes into those and shares them with people, and you just wouldn't believe the amount of comments and emails and feedback we get, and the insane amount of downloads we get on those episodes. So that's really humbling, and really appreciate you guys and the support on that. But School of September is going to be kicking off in a couple of weeks. Not kicking off, but the July installment of School of September is a couple weeks out, and we will get that out to you. And I'm not even going to announce who the guest is yet because I want to keep it a secret. I'll keep you on the edge of your seats, folks. That's what we do around here, right? And so this week, really exciting. I got my buddy Mike Edgeworth. He is with, I'm trying to read two things and talk at the same time. Mike Edgehouse. And he's with Credo Outdoors, is joining me for a really interesting perspective and discussion centered around what Credo Outdoors is. And I think you guys are going to get a lot. I know I'm going to get a lot out of it. I think you guys are going to get a lot out of it too. Mike, appreciate you joining me, man. Welcome to the show.
Hey, Jim, thanks for the call, man. Looking forward to it. You're right. We've been trying to connect for, when did I reach out to you? About 2 months ago? Something along those lines.
It was a while ago.
It was the peak of bear season, and like I said, I had a bear to kill and record and everything else. And I think, when was it? A week and a half ago, you went out and killed a dandy as well, huh?
You know, it was. You make a good point. You must be a better hunter than I. It took me almost the entire season to get it done, but I did finally get one. It was actually a week ago today. It was last Tuesday.
Hey, I've hunted bear for multiple years, and I'm not gonna lie to you, I hadn't even seen a damn bear until this year, and we were supposed to meet some guys and go hunting, and it was really funny. And I'll make a quick story. And I looked at my business partner Adrian, and we couldn't find the people we were supposed to meet, because one of the things we do is we kill animals and then we record the whole process of field dressing them. And we went down to where we were hunting to get this accomplished. So we had bear available to, the people that are associated with Credo Outdoors. And, 5:40 in the morning, I'm like, Adrian, what should we do? Should we go up to the glassing knob? And it's like, well, yeah, we're here to hunt a bear, so we can just film it with our iPhones. And we get up to this glassing knob, and Jim, I'm not kidding you. It was 3 seconds. I stood on top. I tried not to vomit because it was so steep and we were hustling up there. And I looked across this drainage, and on the way up, I was in such a red zone that I swear I saw a wolverine, I saw some mink, I saw some skunks, and they were just all burnt tree stumps. But I was in, really
you were in mode.
Oh, I was in mode, and I was barely able to breathe. It was so steep. And I got up top onto this knob, and Adrian's about 50 yards behind me. And I look across, I'm like, oh, man, is that a goddamn bear? And I was like, no, that must be a stump. And I'm breathing, like really trying not to throw up and pass out. And then I saw it move a leg, and I went, oh, shit.
It's a bear.
And so immediately dropped everything, went prone, got into hunting mode. Adrian came up, and I said, Adrian, give me a distance on that bear. And he takes his rangefinder out, and I hear him click it 3 times. And I'm prone, first bear, first time,
Yeah. Super excited.
Hey. He's like, the batteries on my rangefinder don't work. And I looked over my shoulder. I mean, sometimes you got to laugh. I just started laughing. And he said, I just looked over him on my shoulder and went, yeah, that's fucking perfect. Like, it was just like we couldn't find the guys in the morning. We're up there by ourselves. And anyway, he clicked it on, and, it was like 190 away. And then I had a conversation of, should I shoot it now, or hopefully we get, the film crew up here? What are we doing? And he kind of looked at me. He's like, you should shoot that bear.
Yeah.
And, it was moving. It was walking with intention, going through a couple like slide paths. And it was walking, hustling up the hillside through this last slide path. And we shouted a couple times, made some noises, got it to stop. And if it stopped for 2 seconds, that might be giving it 1 second too long. And as soon as it stopped, I sent one, and just a perfect shot. I re-racked real quick, and I was like, I got him again. He's running downhill, and Adrian's cracking up, and he's like, he's not running. He's somersaulting backwards downhill.
Oh,
Mike.
Shit. You nailed him.
It was perfect. It was just such a cool thing. He taped out at just under 5 foot, jet black boar, like almost purple. He's so black. It was pretty sweet first bear. But again, I would not call myself a bear hunter at this point. It was the best, like one of the funnest hunts I've been on. But
yeah.
I mean, I've had more trips where I haven't seen bear or sign a bear or hide nor hair, and this just took all 3 seconds to work out.
Well, congratulations, man. That's fantastic. I got to tell you, so that was your first bear. This was my first bear too. And it was really only my second season of like intentionally going out bear hunting, like seriously, you know what I mean? I did it a little bit the year before, up north here, up in Unit 1, just did like a couple of little spot and stock hunts and nothing serious,
Right.
But this year I wanted to take it, and last year I got kind of screwed because we were selling our house. Which, by the way, those of you that asked about the homestead situation, I promise at some point I'll do like an episode. Apparently people are really into the homestead thing. So,
it's a pretty cool deal you got going on up there.
It's cool until it snows 5 feet and you can't get out of your driveway. But other than that, I didn't know people were so into it. So I'm kind of trying to formulate an idea. If that's of interest to people out there listening in this, shoot me an email, jim@thewesternhuntsman.com. But there's been some interest. They want me to do an episode about homesteading and getting into it kind of thing. So I might do that. But anyway, point is, we reached our 1 year mark here on the homestead 2 weeks ago. And so we have officially been through all 4 seasons. They've all been like extreme North Idaho type kind of seasons in terms of what the norms are. It's not normally that much snow. It wasn't normally that much heat as we had last year. And we don't normally have this much moisture in the spring. So
it has been a roller coaster of a 12-month for sure.
Dude, yeah, because you're a fellow North Idahoan. You're just like an hour and a half south of me.
Correct.
And so you're down at Coeur d'Alene, right?
Yep, that's exactly right.
So anyways, point being, moving last year kind of ruined my bear hunt. So this year was like, I was on it, man. It was full on. I committed completely to bear hunting, and what I'm finding, Mike, is like it has become one of my favorite hunts. I mean,
I actually made that same comment.
It's like
100%.
Yeah, man.
Fun.
It's like right below archery elk season for me. I mean, It is just a ball. And what was crazy about when I got my bear, I had been filming, just kind of self-filming myself, and making little clips and taking some B footage and all this stuff to try to make a video, right? And
sure.
Every time I'm sitting up at my bait site, I would set up these 2 different Tacticams that I have. So I'd have 2 different views, one of really where the bear I expected to come in, and I would take a shot, and I'm like 60 yards from it.
Yep.
And then I had like this other angle that would hopefully get the bear, but it'd also get me shooting. And so I had that set up every night, and I hit this thing hard. I hit it for 18 nights straight. I took a couple days off, and then I went back up there, rebaited it early in the afternoon, and sat there for hours. But what was going on was where I was at was the most wildly epic case of mosquitoes and gnats I've ever seen in my life. Like I spend a lot of time in the woods, Mike. Right. And I have never had mosquitoes and gnats like this. So what I was doing is I was hauling my I've got this jacket from Scree, their hard scrabble coat the mosquitoes can't get through, and I've been taking that in my pack, and I put that on no matter how hot it was. I would put that on because it would protect me. Well, I had forgotten it this night, a week ago tonight. I had forgotten it in the truck. It was on the back seat of my truck. I get over there, I set up all my cameras, I'm sitting there, and the mosquitoes are so bad, like the gnats just bump you right in the face and just stick to your eyebrows, and it was fucking crazy. And I'm like, I don't know what the fuck I'm doing. Like, this is bullshit. I mean, pardon my French, but man, I was pissed.
And like, trying not to move so the bear that comes in on the bait doesn't
I mean, you can't even blink.
Camo.
Yeah, and I'm sitting there. Like 3 hours go by, and it's like 7:30 at this point, and I'm like, you know what? Nothing's probably going to come in tonight. I'll just hit it again. I've got 2 days left after today. I'm going to get out of here. I pack up my cameras. I put my pack on, and I'm standing up, and I grabbed my rifle, and just for kind of shits and giggles, I turn around to check the other hill, where I expect the bear to come in. This bear is standing there, and I don't know why it was standing there. Like I was making a lot of noise. And I'm blown
trying to figure out what the hell you were.
And and so it ended up being a sow. And she and it was a bear that had been hitting my bait quite a bit, and not teeny, not huge, just kind of a, I don't know, 100 and I don't even want to guess the weight. I would say about 140 pounds at a
good bear,
decent bear.
Yeah,
and I learned that there's a lot of ground shrinkage going on when it comes to bear hunting. Anyway, I don't mean to make this whole story drag on, but she turns and starts kind of side hilling this hill in front of me, and steps out from behind this tree, and I nail her, and she comes running right at me, stops 20 yards away, and turns around and runs back, and kind of just stops, and I plug her again. I didn't need to.
Right.
But she went down, and boom, there you go. First bear ever. But the bummer part is I'd made all this footage, but I didn't get the kill shot on film. And so, like, why even make a video at this point?
Well, because you should make the video of you swatting the mosquitoes and the gnats, because I think everybody can empathize with that and probably make fun of you as well.
Oh man, it's crazy. I was so bummed. My Tacticams are all put up. And the Tacticams are cool, man, because you could set 2 or 3 of them up, and you wear this little remote control around your neck, and you hit the button, and they all 3 turn on automatically. And start recording, and it's super cool, and I was so excited to do that. So you can kind of
set up surround view.
Exactly, and that's what I had done with 2 cameras. I'd set up like 2 different POV angles, and that's what the goal was. When a bear came in, I'd hit that record button, and they'd pop on it instantly, and I'd get the shot, and it'd be all on camera. But anyway.
Yeah. Hey, what did you think of the musculature on that animal? You and I communicated a little bit about that after I shot mine. Did you see the size of the biceps and triceps on that animal?
Yeah, it's insane, dude. It is nothing like it is like nothing I've ever processed before.
They're huge.
I jacked up the hide, and because I was gonna tan the hide out myself.
Yeah.
And while I'm doing it, the mosquitoes are still terrible. It's like dark at this point. And I'd never done a bear before, and I jacked it up, and so I actually ended up throwing it away, the hideaway, after I did the whole check-in. Yeah.
That's a bummer. Yeah, when I went down for the bear hunt, my wife had two, and she doesn't listen to podcasts, so I can say this, although her friends may call her. I had two rules. Don't get eaten by a bear, and for God's sakes, you're not allowed to bring a bear rug home. So I didn't get eaten, and the bear rug won't be here for another 10 months, so I'm hoping she forgets about that.
She'll forget,
second
man.
rule.
She'll totally forget. Yeah. Just buy her some presents.
I figured I'll throw it on the bed, and when she comes home from work, she can see this nice 5-foot bear rug on the bed.
I think that's a great idea, dude.
I'm pretty sure it might be the end of my life too.
No, that's a great idea. I wasn't even gonna do a rug. I was just gonna tan the hide myself, and do that. But I mean, this thing, it looked like the letter Z and the letter Y had a baby, and the way I cut it up, it was terrible. I need to take their course. Which actually, speaking of that brings us to Credo Outdoors.
Yep.
And kind of what your specialty and expertise is. You want to give everybody the snapshot of who you are and what Credo Outdoors is?
I would love to do it. I would love it. So we focus on everything after the kill, right? So the hunting, that's covered. I mean, there's amazing people, amazing companies out there. Elk Shape, Elk 101, all the different people out there that are teaching people on YouTube through their classes how to prep, how to get in shape, how to shoot, how to stalk, the Lamper stuff, everything that they do, it's amazing.
Yeah.
But what we found when we did our market analysis was that while they might mention and talk about what happens after the kill, and especially being in shape for the pack out, because it's, usually pretty tough, and that they don't really go into the nitty gritty of what to do when you walk upon that first large dead animal that you've killed, right? In our hunting, my business partner, Adrian Pasuti, and I, we've been in the field and we've walked upon animals that have their heads taken off and back strips taken off. And we're just standing there looking at it going, no shit, there's a problem here. We've walked into gut piles that have the heart in it still. We've just started experimenting eating the liver. So I would take that.
How was that?
Surprisingly good.
Was it?
So at our most recent camp, I actually saved the liver from my son's deer this year, and I breaded it and fried it up on a Blackstone, just like 3 minutes aside and some butter for the campers, and it was really, really good. It'll now be in one of the organs that I take. I will take the heart and the liver for sure at this point.
Yeah.
So anyway, so we were sitting around elk camp, like, this is a problem. And honestly, we just wanted to kind of get into the hunting industry to maybe write off some of our hunting expenses, things along those lines.
Not a terrible idea.
No, my background is I'm a biologist at Lewis Clark State College. Been there for like 12 years, do anatomy and physiology. I went to med school back in Philadelphia, which is where I met my wife, but I stopped a couple years short of finishing med school. So, I'm an educator. I that's my passion. That's what I like to do. So we focus on educating people on everything that it takes after you kill the animal. So, our tagline that we worked with one of your buddies, Sean Gabriel, on is, we're the Game Processing Institute. So we run camps. We teach people how to field dress an animal doing the gutless method. We talk to them and present meat care options to them. We bring a meat scientist into our camps to talk to them, do a Q&A with that, set them up with different packs to go for hikes, and then bring them into the kitchen. And I give them a pretty generalized anatomy lesson on the difference between the sirloin tip, sirloin cap, bottom round, top round, eye of round, all those great cuts. And Adrian does the front shoulder and shows them how to do a bone-in roast, boneless roast, grind meat.
Oh, really?
Yes, and we walk through everything butchering. So when a hunter leaves our camp, a hunter, huntress, young kid that's getting into hunting, when they leave our camp, they will be able to perform the gutless method without question, and they'll be able to butcher their own animal, and they're going to leave with 25 to 50 recipes that we put together in a binder form so that they now know how to also cook their animal so that, it honors their kill.
That's
and
powerful
they're able
stuff.
to make their,
Shit, man, I need to take that course. Like, I've been butchering my own animals for a long time, but I suck at it. I don't really know how to identify the different muscle groups and all that. I just kind of know, okay, I'm cutting this into steaks or chops, whatever.
Yep.
Grinding this, and it's just like super like redneck process from my end.
Man,
and it works,
I grew up in rural Ohio. I am well aware of kill an animal, and we're going to cut little pieces of it off and throw it on a charcoal grill, and whatever it tastes like will determine what we do with it. And so, but being an educator, teaching at the college and teaching older kids, not high school kids and stuff like that, there's certain like memory devices and different things you can present to the campers that help them remember. Like, I, for one, had the hardest time because it just made no sense to me that the bottom round was on the outside or the lateral part of the hind quarter and not the medial. It just seemed like bottom should be closer to the bottom, closer to the ground, but it's not. The bottom round's that outside cut. And I couldn't remember it until I put together BO. Because everyone knows about BO. Everyone knew about that stinky kid in high school. He had bad BO, and the bottom round's on the outside. So it's BO. So anytime you cut that round off, it's on the outside.
On the hind quarter. You're talking that hind quarter muscle?
The hind quarter muscle, the bottom round is on the outside. It's a bit of a tougher cut.
Yep.
A lot of people use it for jerky. It's great as whole muscle jerky. Some people grind it. Just doesn't present with that much flavor or tenderness. Whereas if you go on the other side of that hind quarter, the top round's on the inside, that's a muscle 100%. Cut it into 1.5 inch to 1 inch thick steaks, grill it medium rare, and enjoy it as a steak. It's so tender and so delicious.
Yeah, man. I'm gonna take your course, man. I feel like I screw up a lot of meat. I don't screw it up. I just do it wrong, and I'm not getting the full benefit. Yeah, does that make sense? Like,
I totally understand.
Yeah. That's all. I mean,
that's why we put the course together. So we ran it through some beta testing last year, and we had some guys that have actually guided elk in northern Idaho show up to it. Some family friends showed up to it. We had fathers and sons. We had mothers show up to it and give us a bunch of feedback. And it was kind of like what you said. Like, man, I've been doing it my way for 20 years and never even thought about doing it this way. It's so much easier. Like, what's the scariest thing for you when you take off that hind quarter?
The scariest, I don't know. That I'm
puncturing the guts.
Oh,
having
yes.
Flow all over your meat.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And then you dig around in there trying to find that ball and socket joint of the hip so you can actually open it up and then scrape meat off of the pelvis, right?
Yep.
Man, the muscles tell you exactly where that ball and socket joint is. Like, there's a line between the sirloin and the top round, a literal white line. It's the femur. It leads right to the ball and socket.
I think I know what white line you're talking about, but is that going to be the same thing? Like, I noticed, like, I can find the ball joint on a deer and elk, no problem, but I struggled finding it with the bear. Is it going to be the same?
It was 100% the same because that white line is the femur, and the ball is the head of the femur sitting in that pocket on the hip.
Yeah.
Right. So we experimented with that with the bear that we got on our hunt, and then, the elk and the deer that we end up killing every year. And it varies. It's about 1.5 inches. Like, if you're pushing on the guts, it's about 1.5 inches up from the guts, depending upon the size of the animal.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Yep.
Actually found smaller animals, it's more like 2 inches up. Bigger animals, it's more like 1 inch because those bones are so damn large. But if you just follow that line between that sirloin tip roast, or what you probably heard is the football roast, and the top round, those two, that muscle separation is the femur. And it takes you right to that point. And once you cut that open, you're filleting meat off of the pelvis, and you're not going to puncture the guts.
Huh. Okay, so the courses that you do, these camps,
yep.
You basically, you have an animal. Because when we talked on the phone, you said, like, sometimes it's a goat or whatever.
It's just funny. thought of a quote from the Hangover when he's like, "No, it's a baby goat, honey." No, so we use butcher lambs. So there's one lamb per 2 campers. So I pick up butcher lambs from our lamb purveyor here in northern Idaho, eastern Washington. We take them down, and, the farmer's amazing. He loans me his livestock trailer and everything else. And Adrian and I get up at, 5 in the morning, take our little 22 short out and call the animals and bleed them out. Campers show up. We have breakfast set up for them. And we do a little classroom, walk them through some anatomy, what the day is going to present, what to expect. Mm-hmm. And then they go out, and it is one-on-one, hands-on attention to every single camper so that they are confident in their field dressing techniques. We run through one animal where we gut it for them to show them the guts and run through some anatomy. And then that's an extra animal for somebody that wants maybe a little more practice finding that ball and socket joint. So we let them do that. But every camper does a front quarter, a hind quarter, half of a back strap, and half of a neck on a butcher lamb, which 150-pound butcher lamb, I mean, that's bigger than some of the deer my son has shot.
Oh, yeah. Right? No, that's perfect. That's a great size. That's kind of in between your average deer and your elk,
Yep.
God, that'd be perfect.
Exactly. And then, like I said, they hang the meat, and we hike it around so they can feel different packs, talk about different things to do with it. And then at about 2 o'clock in the afternoon, 3 o'clock in the afternoon, we go inside and we run through the anatomy lesson of how to butcher your own animal. Like, never rely on a butcher again. Do it yourself.
Yeah.
And, the muscles separate for you. I mean, you've done it enough.
Yeah, for
you
sure.
Put your finger between, they separate for you. But it's a problem with identifying the muscles and then recognizing, like, the bottom round shouldn't really be made into steaks. That's the top round.
See, that's the key. That's the key right there, Mike, is that's where I think that for those of us, whether it's me or anybody listening to this that does their own meat, and I don't hate. I've got butchers that are friends of mine, like Dan over at Get Your Meat LLC, that are good, honest butchers, but they're not all like that. And it's A, the expense of it, and then B, you never know what you're getting back.
Yes.
That is kind of a problem for me. So I've been butchering my own for a while, but the key that what you just talked about is, and kind of repetitive here, but I don't know the difference between, when I take a rear quarter and I start separating the muscles apart, I don't know which one is good for this kind of meat and versus this one is good for that. I just end up looking at it and I'm like, oh, that makes a good steak size. Okay, I'll cut that. Oh, this makes good jerky, whatever. Or just because it looks like it's easier to cut for jerky.
Absolutely.
And then you get some of it, it's like, man, I'm throwing that in the grind pile.
Absolutely. So I could tell you, for the hind quarter, I have discovered so many really cool little pieces of meat that for 5-10 years, I would throw in the grind pile. There's one piece, and I'm sure it's incorrect, even though I'm an anatomy professor. It's an incorrect nomenclature in the butcher world, but I call it the sirloin cap. And I'll tell you a funny story. I pulled these out from last year's elk, and I grilled them up to medium rare. And my wife and I were sitting across the table from each other, and I was cutting into it. And she put her fork and knife down, and she's like, seriously, you have to stop. And I was like, I have to stop what? And she's like, you're moaning as you eat your steak. It's grossing me out, Mike. And I said, Kristen, this is the best fucking steak I've ever had. And, she's a city girl. We've eaten at great steakhouse. And I said, this sirloin cap, this should be coveted by hunters, and I don't think anyone even knows about the damn thing.
I don't.
It's that good, and I've ground them for years, and I will never grind that piece of meat again.
I probably have too. I probably have done freaking tacos or Swedish venison meatballs or something with it. It should be a steak, man. That's cool. I got a question. Yeah. I got an oddball question here. So you teach anatomy at a college.
That's right.
Outside of doing Credo Outdoors and teaching hunters how to break down a butcher and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, that's right.
What is that dynamic? Do you, like, your students at the college know that you're a hunter? And I guess I ask that because I feel like colleges just are this uber freaking, like, politically correct, left-leaning, crazy place where you can't talk about things like guns and butchering animals and meat, and like, you know, you'll get canceled and blah blah blah. Like, you know, and I think that's a perception that we get a lot from, you know, social media or just the media in general. What's that dynamic like? Do they know you're a hunter and all that kind of stuff?
They do. They know I'm a hunter. Some of them know about Credo because they've seen it. It's funny enough, the meat scientist that actually comes to our Credo camps and talks to our hunters about meat safety and everything, she was one of my students at LC. Really? She took one of my anatomy classes, and we were wrapping out one day, and I had mentioned that, you know, I own Credo and we do this, that, and the other, and she was like, whoa, that's awesome. I'm getting a meat science master's at University of Idaho. Like, we should talk.
Man, I'd like to get her on the show too. I love stuff like that. Oh, she's
awesome.
Yeah, that'd be great.
She's awesome.
Yeah.
So yeah, they know. Most of them, I mean, Lewis Clark State College is down in Lewiston, and Lewiston's a small, more blue-collar community full of hunters and families that hunt.
Yeah, that's true. I didn't take that into account. You're kind of in an area that's not, I mean, we're not talking about, you know, Seattle, Washington or something.
No. I couldn't be in a place like that.
Not
I feel
exactly
like
Berkeley.
I would get crucified.
Yeah.
I mean, I mean, talking about, you know, killing small young baby animals because they taste better than their parents, like, that's, most people would shy away from that. but how it worked, I mean, the spot we've been deer hunting down around Lewiston for the past, you know, 10 years, I mentioned deer hunting in one of my classes that I was tired because I got chased off some property by coyotes, and they ran me 3 miles from my truck one night, and she looked at me, she's like, you should go out to my brother's place. He has a lot of deer. And I've been hunting her brother's place ever since. You know, I mean, it's so they're awesome. My students have been just absolutely awesome.
Cool. That's good to hear. That's good to hear. It's like hope.
They've shared their favorite hunting spots with me. We swap hunting stories. I have some students whose boyfriends or girlfriends are just getting into hunting. So fun conversations after the learning process in class is over with that. It's been really, really great. The students down there are really awesome when it comes to that.
How many times have you passed a failing student because they gave you a hunting spot?
I plead the fifth on that.
No, I'm kidding.
I plead the fifth on that.
I'd probably fail your class if I tried to take a college course these days.
Depends on how good that hunting spot you gave me is.
It would be like, hey, if I give you an onyx pin, you'll just be like, oh, I'll turn a blind eye on that 12% you got on the test.
I was going to say that 12% on the first test, Jim.
That's not just failing. You're just a dumb son of a bitch, man. But I tell you what, we can make a deal.
Slide. Exactly.
Yeah, I like your style, man. I like it. If you're anything like me, you're always looking for ways to improve your elk hunting skills for September. And one of my favorite ways is the Elk Collective. It's an absolute game changer in self-education. This virtual elk hunting course has over 150 videos that cover everything from elk calling, strategy, tips, setup, gear, much, much more. There's a bunch of people involved. Some of the best elk hunters in the woods are involved with the Elk Collective, and they've come together to put together this virtual course to help you notch more tags in September. So check it out at theelkcollective.com and use promo code, all one word, The Western Huntsman, for $20 off the entire course. That makes the course only $69. It's a great deal, and I promise if you go through this course, you will go into the elk woods with a lot more confidence and a much better chance at notching a tag on the mighty Whopping. Hoffman Boots is the boot choice of the Western Huntsman podcast, and it has been for a very long time. I love my Hoffman in the Explorers, in the 6-inch or the 8-inch. They have all sorts of options for you to check out. Hoffman Boots is my go-to boot because I am a firm believer that when it comes to gear, the one piece of gear you don't want to skip on is boots. Get really good boots. And if you choose to do some Hoffman boots, you're going to find out why I highly recommend these hunting boots. Made by a multi-generational family of shoemakers, these boots are made right here in North Idaho, and I've got an excellent deal for you if you choose to go with Hoffman boots. Use promo code ALLCAPSLOCK-HUNTSMAN10 for 10% off. Get you some of these boots and find out why I love them. They're totally waterproof. They're going to give you great traction on the mountain. They're super comfortable. There's very little break-in period. Can't recommend Hoffman boots enough. Check it out, guys. Next on the list is Scree gear, high-octane hunting attire without breaking the bank. You want to go into the field with good camo, right? You want camo that works, that'll keep you dry, that'll keep you comfortable. You want layering systems, the merino wool, the rain gear, all the things that make hunting a little bit easier and allows you to stay in the field a lot longer. The problem with most of it is it's super expensive, not with Scree gear. Scree gear will give you all the high-end technical gear that you want without having to take out a second mortgage, and that's why I like it. And to make it even better, got a promo code, The Western Huntsman, all one word, and that will give you 15% off and free shipping. It's a heck of a deal, guys. I recommend checking out like their bundle packages. They have like the elk bundle or the whitetail bundle or the turkey bundle. All those bundles come with multiple pieces of gear, and you won't regret getting this gear. It's great stuff. Check out Scree at screegear.com. Oh, and you want to call in an elk? Use Phelps Game Calls. I've been using Phelps Game Calls since just about the beginning of Phelps Game Calls. It's a great company story, too. This company started in a little garage and is now one of the premier call companies on within the industry. I mean, you can't go wrong with Phelps Game Calls, whether it's turkey calls, predator calls, waterfowl, or especially I think the bread and butter is the elk calls. And I use the Maverick, I use the Pink, I use the Gray Amp. Check out the AMP series. If you're new to calling, I recommend getting a couple of different ones and trying them out. Find out which one works best for you. But I promise you I'm not steering you wrong when it comes to Phelps Game Calls. It's a great company full of great people that make excellent products that actually work. And the proof is in the pudding. Call in a lot of elk, and you will too if you trust me by going to PhelpsGameCalls.com. I got a promo code for you, right? Huntsman10 for 10% off your Phelps Game Calls, and check them out. Phelps Game Calls. Get them close. Two last items. Check out the Reveal cell cams from Tacticam, whether it is for hunting or security. These are excellent cell cams that I have all over my property. To include, I put them on some job sites for some security, so people I know if they're stealing materials or whatever, I'm going to catch them. And another little promo code I like to throw out there is for Baitum 907 for anybody that is hunting bears, spring or fall, and you are allowed to bait. Don't forget to go to Baitum907.com. Since made in Alaska, use promo code Huntsman10 for 10% off. The stuff works, and it works well. Let's get back to the show. Here we go.
I love it. It's been a hoot. It's been a lot of fun. And like I said, Credo's starting to take off. We got a bunch of cool stuff going on. The camps are, I mean, you've run camps before. It is an insane amount of work for the owners of the company, for Adrian and I. You know, as he's given a talk to the campers, I'm running around prepping dinner stuff and everything else. So that's the other thing we do. We cook all the meals. So breakfast is, salmon and eggs from Costco. Which is totally fine, but lunch and dinner and then breakfast the following day are all wild game.
Oh, sweet.
So
cool.
I take some of the elk that we've killed, some of the deer that we killed. A couple of my friends said, "You're crazy for serving them bear. Like, you need to cook bear." Trust me, being a biologist, I cook bear to 161 minimum, usually 170 to 180. Trichinosis is nothing I want to mess around with, but
yeah, me neither.
We feed them. And let them experience. Like, we feed them young animals, old animals, cook it with different seasonings, grill it to different temperatures, so they can determine, like, if they're a new hunter, I only want to shoot bull elk. Well, okay, here's a piece of steak from a bull elk. Here's a piece of steak from a spike elk. Does that change your mind now?
Yeah.
That's a spike. That's really good.
There is just nothing better than a young spike or a young whitetail. Can I ask you something taking a step back there?
Yeah.
You'd mentioned the trichinosis thing.
Yeah.
And anybody that bear hunts, I think, is aware of that and aware of, minimum temperatures and all that kind of stuff. But isn't it basically like the same concept as cooking pork? in terms of you just want to make sure you're hitting that minimum 160 or what. I mean.
Yep. So that's exactly it. It's 161. So, but the thing is, with the domestication of swine, they essentially manage with the farms and stuff to breed out trichinosis or trichinella, which is the parasite from domesticated pork, like the stuff you buy at Costco and things like that. So you can actually cook those medium rare, right? You can have it pink. You can have it a little bit bloody.
Oh,
but
gotcha.
Before the severe domestication of swine, they got rid of trichinella. Yeah, it was the exact same thing. So like you boar hunt or you kill a wild pig, 100%, exact same thing. You got to cook it to 161, right? Because although the actual larvae of that animal dies at a much lower temperature, the larvae is only present in the GI system. What's in the muscles are the spores. So what happens is you eat these spores if you don't cook it to 161, and then in the acidic environment of your stomach and different things are going on, those spores break out and you get these little worms in your GI tract that burrow through your GI tract into your muscles and forms these cysts and spores in your muscles. Yeah, it's nothing to mess around with. I mean,
my wife says, I definitely, there is no medium rare, medium, or even, everything bear-wise is well done. But my wife talks about once we butcher the bear, to have it in the freezer for 2 weeks prior to even cooking anything with it. And I can't remember what it was. It killed some kind of bacteria that could possibly be there. She's the one that does all the research on that kind of stuff.
I've never heard of that one.
I haven't either. And so, but she found. I don't even remember. I'm gonna have to I'm gonna be like, babe, what's your source? What's your source? I need to know where you got this information. But anyway, I'm just curious. That popped into my head when you said that. So.
So the freezing the animal won't kill it. You can leave it in the freezer as long as you want. There's other bacteria and stuff, that a freezer will kill. Most of that stuff, though, dies in like a biologically sound freezer, -80 chamber, and all of our freezers are 0-degree freezers. They don't go -80. Yeah. Right. So -80 will kill a lot of different things, and that's why we use them in the research world. But the freezer with your Maytag, that's not going to do much.
Yeah, that's not hell no, not -80.
No.
Huh. That kind of stuff. I'm always interested in that. It's always something that I think we think about a lot. How safe is this meat? What truly? There's a lot of opinions as to what goes into meat care to make it either taste better or make it safer, or what to cook it to. Anyways, I kind of derailed us there. I'm sorry.
Well, the other thing we've done. So Adrian's has a chemistry background and I have a biology background. You ever wonder about aging meat? Like the Bearded Butchers did this really cool thing, like dry age versus wet age and flavor and stuff like that. But it's kind of a pain in the ass to dry age an entire elk, right? Totally. So we ran a really cool experiment that we're gonna hopefully get a magazine to pick up and publish about freezing your game before you actually age it. And I will just, in a nutshell, say, yes, you can. You can bring your animal in after rigor mortis has, released, so the muscles are soft again. Say, take that back strap, wrap it up, freeze it. You're going to serve it on Christmas. Take it out December or November 30th and let it dry age in your fridge for 30 days prior to Christmas, cooking it. And it will produce the same flavor profile, the same water loss weight, the same tenderness and everything as if you had dry aged it prior to freezing it.
Huh. Okay, that's cool. I might know somebody that would publish that. I'll keep you posted on that. That's really good information.
We have a really we controlled everything, took pictures and wrote it up, and it's something that I want to get out there, but I don't want it to get lost in the social media cyberspace. As a reel, somebody sees it on a reel and then it's like, oh, where in the hell did I see that? I want that to be used because it's pretty damn good information that you don't have to age your meat prior to freezing it.
Yeah, it's really good information. I mean, I would have never thought, even because it's like this taboo thing sometimes.
Yeah, it's totally taboo.
You know,
but again, you talk to the meat scientist about it. You're not losing the mold spores and the fungus spores and the bacteria when you put it in a 0-degree freezer, right? Mm-hmm. So they go dormant. You take them out, and they just repopulate afterwards. So it's a really cool piece.
Okay, cool, good to know.
Yeah.
So there's all sorts of stuff with this course, and I think we got derailed there. But we were talking about, you know, basically the hunters at the camp. And now you're like making videos on this stuff too. Is that like so people can get maybe on YouTube and check some of this information out?
So that's a great question. So when we were in the very early fledgling stages, I heard John Gabriel on Dan's Elk Shape podcast.
Yeah.
And you know, Dan was like, he's the hardest working guy out there. And then I heard him on your podcast, and I was like, I got to reach out to this cat. I need him to help. Yeah, to John.
Everybody needs to reach out to John. Yeah, he's one
great.
of the best humans out there, man.
And,
love that dude.
You know, Jim, he was awesome. He helped brand us. You know, put together Credo Outdoors, tagged us as the Game Processing Institute, did our label and everything else. And he and I were talking. You know, one of our 3-hour conversations that I'm sure he had a lot of other things to do than talk to a Northern Idaho guy who's just paying him for one brand. And he's like, hey, let me give you some advice. And I said, yeah, man, you got the Elk Collective going on. You got this business going on. Like, yeah, what do you got? He said, make it available digitally as well. He said, I know your bread and butter. I know you're a classroom guy. People are going to take the class because it's going to kick ass. You're going to be there. It's super fun. They get all this great experience, but make some level of it available digitally and make it affordable.
Makes sense.
I was like, yeah, that makes a lot of sense. He's like, but let me give you one last thing. Do it so goddamn good that anybody else that comes in and tries to do it, they would have to put so much time and money into it, it won't be worth their effort. And he said, because listen, he was telling us when I was telling him what we're doing, he's like, that doesn't really exist yet, but you're going to become successful, and there's going to be other companies that are going to try to follow your footsteps and do something else and say they can do it better.
Yeah,
so make it available digitally, and do it in such a manner that if they try to do it, they're just going to look obsolete, and it's going to be an inferior product to yours. So squash the competition before they even become your competition.
He's got the experience with that, because there's a lot of great elk hunting virtual courses out there.
Yeah.
But none of them touch the Elk Collective. They know what I mean? Like I do. The information available in the Elk Collective is profound. It's like you can't even learn it all. It's like I feel like it's an intense college course, right? And I actually get a lot out of it because there's all these different perspectives. And so I think I feel like that's what they've done with the Elk Collective.
I think so too.
Yeah.
They've squashed their competition before their competition even knew they were there.
Yep.
And
exactly.
That's what he recommended. So we decided, Adrian and I, like, man, we need to make this into an app. Well, Jim, you know how much an app costs to have made?
No. Somebody told me you could do it for $10, and I didn't believe him.
No, they're so full of shit. Their eyes are brown. That can't happen. I read all these magazines, like, to get, somebody in Indonesia or whatever to build an app platform for you. And it's like, man, I mean, we're losing money in Credo. Like, I don't have that kind of cash flow to pay somebody. And one of the magazines, the very last paragraph said, or find an app that would work as a platform that you want, reach out to the developers and see if they're interested in collaborating. And so Adrian and I, going through what we wanted in an app, like, the Elk Nuts app is perfect.
Uh-huh.
Right? You got those buttons at the bottom, sequences, and you hit sequence and you have the slow play, you have the breeding sequence, you have all these different things, you hit cow calls, and there's 26 different cow call videos and stuff on there. And I was like, we can do that with Credo. And so I got Game Tech's information available online, emailed Taylor.
Got a hold of Taylor,
and I think Taylor. What a great that company. What a great group of 4 guys. I mean, they're awesome. Man. They're awesome.
They're pretty inspiring, man. It's I was just thinking about Taylor the other day because he posted something. I think it was on Father's Day or something where he went in and I need to call him and talk to him about this. He went in and got his bait barrel for bear season and strapped it to his pack the same way I've done it. Yep. And I learned a new method, and so I should call him because he's breaking his back like I have been with these dang 55-gallon drums.
Yep.
Anyway, totally side subject.
He would love that.
Yeah.
So I emailed him, and Taylor will probably laugh when he hears this. I emailed him at like 7:30 in the morning. I think it was June, maybe July of last year, and just a 5-sentence pitch. This is what I'm thinking, and I swear if it was 2 minutes, that might be a minute too long. Like, he called me right away. And he's like, Mike, this is Taylor with Got Game. And I was like, holy hell, I emailed you 2 minutes ago.
Wow.
And he's like, yeah, we're going out doing some scouting. We're in. I need to talk to the other 3 guys in Got Game Tech. He's like, but that doesn't exist, and that would help people. We're in. That would be awesome.
Totally.
So we are taking everything. So our app is called Cut Right Mobile. It's going to be launched later this summer before elk season. It's going to be something that, you know how every elk hunter, or damn near every elk hunter, has Paul's app on their phone, just in case.
Mm-hmm.
This app will probably be, we're hoping, on every phone of every hunter in the country.
Well, let me ask you this about the app with, is it going to be like a tutorial? There's videos. Okay, you've got an elk down. Here's how you want to do the gutless. Here's how you want to, quarter it out or whatever, like in a video format.
100%.
And so 100%. Are those videos going to be downloaded to the app or the phone, or do you have to be in service to be able to watch them?
You're going to be able to download them to your phone. So when you go out in northern Idaho, southern Idaho, Montana, and you have no reception, you're not panicked.
Okay,
just like
that's where I've always been struggling. Yeah, and I knew that. So
you're going to be able
to
download.
And they also do. There's another cool app Got Game Tech does called the. Oh man, I forgot the name of it. It's a turkey app. Is it Turkey Tech? Yeah, I was going to say Tech Turkey, awesome. But it's Turkey Tech. Awesome. Yeah, it's a great one. So, anyways, good.
So
useful.
this one's gonna start with, we have elk, deer, and bear as the 3 different animal modules. So, because deer don't look like elk don't look like deer, bear look like neither of the damn 2, right? So what does a person who's always going to hunt Ohio want a video teaching them how to do a gutless method on an elk? It's not real applicable to them.
Mm-hmm.
So we have whitetail on there. But what we do even further, you're right, we do. We filmed all of this. We're going to cut it down into small segments. You're going to be able to work forward from the animal down to whatever you want to cook, or you'll be able to pull up that piece of meat that you want, the top round, and it'll have a link to the butchering section of it. It'll have a link to the field dressing section of it, and then it'll have all the recipes that you can make with field rounds. So the app will not just end with the field processing stuff, but we included all the butchering stuff with it.
Sweet. I need this app, dude.
I'll be
your beta tester.
I love it. It's pretty awesome. And then, we figured we need to, the spouses of our hunters who don't necessarily hunt, needs to be useful for them too. So we included a bunch of recipes.
Oh, my wife would. So my wife and I, we are our own butcher team, right?
I love it.
I do like getting it off the bone or whatever, cutting the muscle groups out, and then she takes it from there and makes the steaks or grinds or the sausage stuff, and we just kind of work together. It's a little challenging on a homestead without like a big kitchen with a big sink and stuff. It's quite the circus, but it works. And so she would love that. Like, she doesn't hunt. My wife does not hunt. But she would love to have that app exactly for that reason. And so I feel like it's going to be a game changer, man.
Well, that's what, when, Taylor and the crew and Adrian and I sat down, it was like, wow, this can really revolutionize things. This is going to help a lot of people.
Yeah.
Right? People are gonna feel confident to do things on themselves. We filmed every little aspect of butchering the animal, every little aspect of removing quarters, deer, like I said, deer, elk, and bear. And bear, I won't lie to you, threw me for a loop. That anatomy on that bear is different. Man. I had to study that damn thing for about 2 hours before I jumped into butchering it. Just trying to figure out, like, wow, look how small their butt muscles are, but look how big their biceps and triceps are. That doesn't make sense. I haven't seen that before.
Looks like, when you get the hide off, it looks like out of proportion almost. It's like, how does this thing, like, this doesn't make sense. How does this thing move so fast?
It's kind of like the guy that, like, in high school never lifted legs, but had that huge, big upper body and big biceps, but he had, like, a potato on toothpicks.
Yeah,
like
I got an uncle that looks like that.
Yeah.
Looks like a dipshit. Hopefully he doesn't listen to this, but it just looked like it was something was out of whack. Like I don't understand how this functions, and I'm no biologist, Mike, but it something didn't look right, but it was normal. This was a great healthy bear. I got the meat's beautiful.
Oh yeah.
Not a ton of fat on this bear. Not super happy about that,
either.
but I'm going to get the second tag. I don't know about you, but I'm getting the second bear tag because we can do that up here.
Right, we can. When does that season end?
November 30th.
Oh,
so
yeah.
I have that. It opens back up, I believe, August 30th. People will want to check that. Yep. But I know, I know for a fact that last year it ended on November 30th. I'm assuming it's going to do the same thing here. And I want to get a big old fall bear, and my girls want to get a bear.
Too.
So
I actually said, like, I really hope. So I'm going to do that. I really hope I kill an elk within the first week of September. And like I said, one of my favorite times to hunt is opening day. Just, I don't care if it's 110 degrees. There's just something about opening day.
We don't talk about that. Elk season doesn't get good until September 15th.
I want to kill something early so I can hunt bear, because I want a big, fat fall bear as well.
Yeah.
That's my goal as well. But let me give you a hint with your grind. If you haven't ground it yet, because you're going to cook bear to 160 burgers, you're probably just going to, smash the hell out of them or whatever.
Yeah.
Grind your bear meat with about 12% bacon. Oh, okay. Then you can cook the living shit out of it. And every bite, it's going to be so full of juice from the bacon fat that's in there.
Okay, I'll do that. But I need this app, man. I need this app for before. So when are you thinking it's going to launch?
So end of summer. So we're shooting for before elk season. So archery elk season, most places opens August 30th. We're shooting for before that.
And can you share, like, what the price point is going to be, or is that, like, not determined yet, or you can't? Can't say it?
I would say it if I knew it. We haven't determined it yet. There is an insane amount of content going to be on it, and it's not going to. I can't imagine it would cost more than a Starbucks run for a husband, wife, and a kid.
Okay.
So that's our plan.
So that gives us in the ballpark. I don't know. Yep. I don't know what that costs, because I haven't been to Starbucks in I don't know how many years, because I live,
Well, I think it'll be in line with.
There is one. There's one in Sandpoint and Coeur d'Alene, isn't there?
Yeah, I haven't been to Starbucks in a long, long time. I'm too damn cheap. I'll drink coffee that's 3 days old before paying $2.40 for an 8-ounce coffee.
Yeah, exactly. I like trucker coffee, man. If it's a shitty old gas station with some old coffee, that's me. I'm there.
Hey, Maverick has some of the best coffee out there right
Maverick
now.
Does. Yeah, Maverick does.
But I will say that I think when we were discussing it, I think the price of the app will be in line with, the Elk Nut app and Turkey Chat and their other apps.
Okay.
But we haven't gotten there yet. We've finished recording everything, filming everything. We're cutting it all up. In fact, for the 3 hours before our conversation, I was writing content for the app. So if someone doesn't want to watch it, or their phone glitches or whatever, it will be written out step by step how to do things in the field.
We might have to discuss, like, a exclusive Western Huntsman promo code or something.
Okay, we could definitely do that. We'll discuss that after
I don't want to put you on the spot while we're recording, but, the exclusive... No, I'm just kidding.
I'm not the only man in this business. I got to talk to Taylor about that too. I'm sure we could work that out for you.
Taylor, if you listen to this, man, we're working out a deal right now. We'll let you know. I think he's an attorney, actually, man. You don't want to mess with him.
Yeah, and like probably the nicest guy you're ever going to meet. Although I could say that about Dustin, Jack, and Ryan too. The rest of those guys down there, they're just, man, what a great crew of guys. And I'd say when we were having dinner down there with Adrian and I, and Adrian's been my hunting and fishing partner for damn near 15 years. We're like, man, how the hell do 4 really good dudes get to know each other and fall into this business?
Yeah.
And it's just serendipitous. You know, good people find each other is what we always figure out.
Yeah, for sure, man. I think that's how it, you know, and it's like what we were talking about with like John Gabriel. You know, I was introduced to Gabriel through my buddy Dirk. Because Dirk and Gabriel go way back, and now, you know, Gabriel introduces me to a lot of other people that are great, whether they're podcast guests or, you know, just whatever it is. It's that's how this thing works. You got to build this network, and I guess that's not really aligning with what you were talking about with the Got Game Tech guys, because there's 4 of those guys working, you know, actually together on this one business.
But they had to meet each other somehow.
Yeah. It was probably Gabriel. It was probably Gabriel that hooked them all up.
We're just going to go ahead and give him credit.
Gabriel knows everybody, man.
I love it.
You 4 have the same magic. You're getting together.
So hey, I know you're doing the School of September, and I got a question for you. I want to tell you about last year's animal that we are finishing up.
Okay.
So it was a funky year last year, right? Like we had that weird rainstorm kind of mid-season, messed things up. My hunting partner's family all got COVID. So he had to boogie back. All 3 kids popped positive with COVID. So he had to boogie back home.
Oh, man.
And stuff like that. And then we said, all right, we're going to make a last assault the last 5 days. You know, and it was a long September. I'm very fortunate that my wife's like, go ahead, September's yours. Like, work around your primary job, and you can have September. I'll figure this out. And so my last day, it was pouring down rain in the morning. We walked out, elk tracks, elk shit and piss everywhere, blowing sideways. We were like, let's just get out of here. Let's go get some breakfast, dry off a little bit. We're going to bring the lawn chairs out here at noon, and we're just going to sit our ass down on this logging road, you know, 400 yards away from there, okay, until the evening. Those animals should come out of the woods. So we're sitting there. I should say Adrian's sitting there. I'm sleeping. I'm snoring. I'm doing everything I can to not wake up, actually. You know, he's walking around checking things, and I'm full on passed out for most of the day. And we start glassing around 5:30, and he says, hey, there's horns down there. I said, where? And he said, down there. And I was like, oh, shit, let's go. So we took off from there. We sprinted half a mile down, went to set up, you know, with him calling and me shooting up in front. And these animals held up in the reprod.
Yeah, wait. This is an archery hunt, right?
This is archery.
Rifle?
No, this is archery.
This is archery. Okay, September.
Yep.
Okay, good.
Yep. So they're hung up, and I'm on basically 20 yards in front of Adrian and to the side, and I walked back to him and I said, they're hung up. They're not coming in. I'm going. And he's like, where are you going? And I think by the time he processed it and said, where are you going? I was 60 yards away from him pushing in on those animals. And so I get up to these animals, and I'm standing next to a little tree, and I come in cow calling. Right, I'm not coming in bugling. There's only one bull we could see. I'm like, I don't even know if there's other cows because we took off so damn fast to get down after this bull. So I come in, you know, kind of chirping quietly. Well, the bull comes on a string, right? Like string, 35 yards. Of course, he stopped in a really shitty spot. And so I'm positioning myself and still chirping. I'm like, there's no goddamn cows. This is great. Well, that was wrong. The lead cow, and this is what I'm asking, have you ever seen? The lead cow came in because he was going around this fall down and going to come directly to me, probably stop at 10 yards and eat an arrow. she literally cut him off and used her head to redirect him.
No kidding.
He would spin around so his ass would face me and try to like do like an NFL 360 running back move on her, and she would do the same spin the opposite way and be like, nope, you're not going fucking over there to that little hussy. You're not going over there. And so this went on, and I'm not shitting you, for an hour and 33 minutes.
Really?
I was standing there actually at one point, and I know you were in the service, so thank you for your service. But they teach you how to stand, right, and flex your muscles so you don't pass out.
Yeah.
But when you're not at full draw, when you're ready to draw for an hour and 33 minutes, you forget to actually flex your quads and wiggle your toes and shit. And I'm watching this whole thing unfold, occasionally chirping to keep them interested. And I started to get that weird tunnel vision, like, holy shit, I'm going to pass out. So I had to move it around. So after an hour and 33 minutes, he takes off the other way. And now he's 80 yards away. She kind of was happy, like, all right, you little hussy, he's not coming to you. So I chased him again, and I got back within 40 yards of him. And he's turned around again, starting to come back at me. I stepped to the side of this little reed frond pine tree, and what do I hear? That goddamn lead cow was 25 yards to my right on a little knob and barked at me.
Oh, no. And she spotted you?
She spotted me, and the bull just stood there like, what's that crazy bitch barking at?
Did you bark back at her?
You're goddamn right. You know how many barks we exchanged? Yeah. 17.
Really?
Back and forth over the course of another 30 minutes. Like, she's all, yeah, and I'm all, yeah, back at her, and like she would like stomp her feet like, don't you sass me, lady. Like, it was like pretty crazy and intense.
Wow.
And so this is my last night hunting. That bull saunters off behind as two crazy women are barking at each other. Like, a man probably should just saunter off if that's happening. And it's like 7:01. The ending of legal shooting light was 7:02, and we had no meat in the freezer. So I stepped to the side of this pine tree, went full draw. She gave me one last bark and was like, holy shit, that's not an elk, and spun to take off. I barked at her. She stopped and put one right through, double lung shot. She ran 30 feet and fell over.
Nice.
It was a matter of putting meat in the freezer. That's,
man.
We had a little conversation before we came on. Like, I know I don't purposely hunt spikes. I don't purposely hunt small cows. But if I had to tell you what tastes best, it's a young elk. Yeah. There is nothing better than what we call Mountain Veal.
Yeah. Oh, Mountain Veal. Yeah, I remember you saying that. Absolutely. You're so dead on. And I loved that. That's one of the things I love taking my daughters out, because they just shot these little bucks last year. You know, holy cow, man! They taste. It's like the best deer meat I've ever had. These little white, young, year-and-a-half-year-old whitetails, man. Yep. Holy smokes!
I will encourage you. Let them shoot babies as long as they can, but don't grind any of that meat. I mean, you could take the yuckiest piece of meat and it's still going to be delicious, not being ground.
Okay, that's good to know.
It's perfect because Luke kills things like that.
And they're both telling me, they're like, well, Daddy, this year I want a big buck. I'm like, no, you don't. You don't want a big buck. They're
I told
stinky.
You, man. Luke said the same thing. So he does an early season kind of elk hunt starting in before our archery season opens up, within a mile of a cultivated field. And he says, Dad, I don't want to shoot a baby this year. I want to shoot a big cow. And I said, what in the hell would you want to do that for? Yeah. And he said, because I don't want to shoot a baby anymore. I said, dude, those big cows taste like shit. Like, don't ever shoot the lead cow. Like, if you want to shoot the fourth cow back, fine. But I would encourage you to shoot the young one. Like, the smallest one out there, shoot, because like between that and God willing, every year I'm able to harvest an elk. Like, we could have one super tasty one and one that only has certain parts that are super tasty.
Yeah. And the rest of it's not terrible. It's just not as good as a young one. It's not like it's bad meat. But I was blown away. Those bucks those girls killed last year. It's just been amazing meat. And we're we're pretty much out. at this point of our venison.
It's about time to refill that.
Yeah, just about time. So,
so have you ever heard of a lead cow doing that?
No.
And literally, like, let's call it what it was. Well, like, at a bar with a bunch of friends, you would say you got cock blocked.
Yeah,
that's essentially
exactly what
did.
happened. So in that sense, yes. I know that one of my hesitations with using cow calls when the bull is actually physically coming in is it will kind of create this thing where that cow, whatever cow, they get jealous. They don't want them over there. They don't want a new cow coming into their harem. They're not interested in a new friend, and they want to keep him away from her. If they're interested in that bull, which obviously if he's kind of leading the harem in September, right? They're interested. They're just not hot yet. So yeah, I have heard of that. I've never heard it defined or described the way you did, where she's physically keeping him away. Usually what
with
they
her
do
head multiple times.
Yeah, usually what they do is they just start heading the other direction, and the bull ends up following because. And obviously I'm not like an animal behavioralist, but my thought is he knows those cows are a slam dunk, so he's going to stick with them instead of going and investigating this new cow, right? And so usually they just take off and he follows. So cool, man. That's a cool story. Really,
it was pretty awesome. And like I said, I would have bugled, but he came in, and I couldn't all of a sudden change from a young lady standing behind or right next to a single reprod tree to a bugling bull. He would be like, no, that seems a little weird. Like there was no room for it. So I kind of committed to being a young lady, and I had to stick with my commitment on that one. Yeah.
Well, Mike, this has been awesome, man. I really want to, I'm really excited about this app. I think that you're right, and what you said, what Taylor said, I think he's right. In terms of what happens after the kill, there isn't a lot of information out there. There's not a ton of like in detail, in-depth kind of information. You can watch the YouTube videos. Okay, yeah, this is how we break them down and quarter them out and blah blah blah. But it's just real generic stuff. And I learned with my bear, sometimes we get in our minds, I've been hunting for years and I butcher my own stuff. I don't need any help. But holy cow, I certainly would have benefited from that app last week when I got that bear down, because my first bear, I didn't know shit about what I was doing.
Well, it's crazy how thin their skin is too, isn't it?
Yeah, it's super crazy. I think that's partly why I fucked that hide up so bad.
Yep. Their skin is so thin. Like that's what blew doing our bear. Adrian and I filmed that thing. It must have been 3 hours of filming that thing. And, we were fortunate that one of the other guys knocked down a bear later that evening in a different spot. And I had a practice bear, which is my bear. And then we were able to go in and do his bear for the actual app and go through how to take those front paws off. Right?
Yeah.
Like, what bones to cut through? Like
I guessed on that. I guessed on it, and it was funny after I got that bear down, man. I have the little Zolio thing, the device that allows me to text my wife or whoever I want. It's like kind of like a Garmin Go InReach. Gosh.
Yeah.
But it's the Zolio. I can't believe I went totally blank with that. But anyway, I'm not far from. In fact. My wife and kids were sitting outside here at the homestead and heard me shoot this bear. That's how close I was.
Oh my God, that's so cool.
If you cross the highway, I was like 20 minutes up the mountain where I had my bait barrel. So they knew something was up. So cool. And so I text her, bear down, blah, blah, blah. So she brings up the girls, and they come in to help me pack everything out, which I didn't really need. I got all the meat, hide, and skull all in one trip with on my pack, but anyway. Yep. I cut the feet off, and they wanted to keep them. So I actually have 2 bare feet in my freezer in a Ziploc bag, and I don't know what the hell I'm going to do with them.
Trying to figure out what the hell to do with those things.
Yeah, exactly.
I love it. Just take the nails off and make them necklaces.
That's what I'm thinking.
Yeah, that's what I would do. What the hell else are you going to do with those things? You're not going to tan a paw.
Exactly. So, well, let's keep in touch. I'm totally up for you coming back on just before launch to kind of. I'm sure some of the information's going to change, and maybe you could, once it's ready to launch, maybe be able to describe it in better detail and talk about pricing and how to get it and all that kind of stuff. Oh
yeah, that would be great, Jim. That would be awesome.
What's the website they can find Credo Outdoors? Is it just CredoOutdoors.com or?
So we couldn't get .com. It was taken by somebody else. So we are CredoOutdoors.org.
Okay.
And we do Instagram is Credo Outdoors, and I'll post recipes, pictures, everything else on Instagram, hunting pictures, just finally perfected after multiple years, my jerky recipes, and the occasional reel. Like sausage making has always been something I really wanted to get into, and I finally figured out how to twist sausage the correct way. And I thought, this should be pretty valuable information to people.
See, I could use that info. I don't know how to do that. I know how to make sausage, but I don't know how to twist it right.
Check out the latest reel. I go through the difference between the top round and the bottom round.
Oh, okay. That'll be good to know. I can jump on there now because bear season's over, so I'm actually here and being able to get on Instagram and stuff now.
Yep. So CredoOutdoors.org, and then Credo Outdoors on Instagram is our primary way of communicating with people and stuff.
And guys, that'll all be in the show notes, obviously. I'll put that in the show notes so you guys can just jump on there and check that out. Give them a follow on Instagram. Real quick, before I wrap this up with Mike, on a side note, I want to welcome my friend who is brand new to Idaho, Chris McKelvey. Escaped California and is now officially an Idahoan. And usually I frown upon that kind of move because we're kind of full. No,
we have a lot.
We're getting there. But he is. But I'll make an exception for Chris. And so I just want to tell him, welcome to Idaho. And another way to put that is welcome to America. Yes, sir. I love it. I appreciate it. So, Mike, thanks a bunch for joining me on this episode, man. I'm going to make this live instantly, man. It'll be out tonight.
Jim, I love it. And, man, I would love to, when you, God willing, you get that animal down this year, just give me a jingle, man. I'll come up and we can drink some bourbon and go through all these different cuts of meats and everything else. I would love to do it.
Don't tempt me with a good time. Bourbon and butchering, man. We could do an episode right there. Bourbon and butchering, right there.
That would be one hell of a YouTube video.
That would be. We could do it, man. It would go viral.
I'm pretty sure it would.
Yep.
As well as the absolutely shitty jokes we would tell each other during that.
I have the worst jokes in podcast history, and I'm okay with that.
Yeah, you just got to be proud in your own skin, bud.
Guys, check it out. Credo Outdoors on Instagram and CredoOutdoors.org. And Mike, we will be in touch. I appreciate you coming on, man. That was a lot of fun.
Sounds great, Jim. Thanks a ton.
You made it all the way to the end. Thank you so much for tuning into the show. We sure appreciate your support. This is Jim Huntsman signing off and reminding you to check us out at Instagram at The Western Huntsman and on Facebook at The Western Huntsman. And you can also check out the website at thewesternhuntsman.com. Thanks again. We'll see you guys next time. Stay Western, and I'll see you on the mountain.